Last Sunday, I had the opportunity to attend the Festival of Faiths during the afternoon. I was very fortunate in that I found myself at a table with a teenager from the Baha'i faith, a mother and daughter from the Unitarian Universalist, and a Muslim. One of the things they asked us to do was to talk to each other about our expressions of spirituality. And it occurred to me that even though we came from such diverse faiths, the way we express our spirituality is quite often the same. We sing songs, we pray, we read sacred texts, we meditate upon those texts. But it occurred to me that something else was taking place in that room because everybody was in little groups talking. Another expression of spirituality was taking place, and that is that we were listening to each other's stories. Listening can be a very sacred way of expressing our spirituality. We don't think of it that way very often. 500,000 women die every year needlessly, leaving over 1 million children orphaned who have 3 to 10 times greater chance of dying within, I think, the first 2 years following their mother's death. Today you're going to hear 3 stories. They're all true stories. They're not fiction. They're interviews of people. And they involve the death of mothers in Afghanistan because of lack of medical attention. I want you to just sit and listen to those stories. Remember the spiritual expression of listening. And as you listen, just be aware of what's going on with you. For some people, it will be thankfulness and gratitude that that's not the way it is here with us. For some people, it will be a deep sadness and mourning for people in other places. Some people will be motivated and want to know, what is it that we can do to change this? Stories affect people in different ways. But for now, listen. 12-year-old Mehdi witnessed the death of his mother during childbirth in the winter of 2007. His village, like most in the province, is many hours away from any health facility. With his arm around the shoulders of his younger sister, Zahara, Mehdi told his story.
It was early January. I was having dinner with my father, my sister, and I didn't know she was expecting a baby. We started asking her questions about why she was feeling pain, but she wouldn't answer. I asked her if she needed a back massage, but she refused that as well. My father went and fetched 4 women, some of our neighbors. They started asking her questions, and my father told us to leave the room. We were so worried about her, and we felt so cold too. But we were just thinking about our mother, really, nothing else. After some time, my father came out of the room and said he was going to find a vehicle to take my mother to the hospital. He went out and returned after a few minutes, telling the women he couldn't find a car as the roads were all blocked to our village because of the heavy snowfall. There was nothing else he could do. When my mother started screaming, we went into the room and started crying. Why was no one helping her to get relief from the pain? My father said we had to wait until morning and then find a way to take her to a healthcare center. Minute by minute, her screaming became louder and louder. We were all sitting beside her. Her face was so red. She carried on screaming until she died. No, she stopped screaming before she died. But she was breathing very loudly just before she died. After she died, we cried a lot. We cried for 5 days because we had lost the dearest person in our life. My mother died because we didn't have a doctor in our village, and the bad roads had been blocked by snow. I hate snow. If it was not blocking the road, my father would have been able to take her to the doctor. Now, whenever winter comes, I feel cold, and when I see the snow, I remember my mother's death. I don't know what happened to the baby, but my father said the baby was already dead. 6 months after my mother died, my father married another woman in our village. Now we are 4 people at home again, but we 2 children don't have our own mother. We always remember her. It's so difficult for me when I see other children, their mothers giving them money or sweets or kissing them. I can't stop crying. We still remember our mother and love her.
Where clinics are non-existent or unreachable, and where money is tight, opium has become a fallback. Women suffering problems during pregnancy and after giving birth frequently rely on it as a substitute for medicines and painkillers, usually because they cannot get proper medical care. Sadaf, 32, started smoking opium after her second baby died shortly after birth. She and her 2 children are now all addicted to the drug.